The advertisement had seemed simple enough. Domestic assistant needed, 3 children, veteran household, experience with non-human species preferred. Daniel Reeves hadn't expected anyone to respond. Most people avoided military families, especially those marked by the Outer Rim conflicts. The scars ran deeper than flesh, and everyone knew it. But when Orla's application arrived, credentials immaculate, references glowing, species listed as felony sapiens, he'd been desperate enough to ignore the small voice warning him that perfection usually came with a price. She arrived on a Tuesday morning when the twin suns of New Harmony cast double shadows across the prefab housing units. Daniel watched from the kitchen window as she approached, her movements liquid and precise. The genetic modifications were obvious: golden eyes with vertical pupils, a tail that swayed with calculated balance, ears that swiveled independently atop her head. The felony program had been one of the military's stranger experiments, designed to create soldiers with enhanced reflexes and night vision. Most hadn't survived the war. "Mr. Reeves." Her voice was smooth, professional. She extended a hand, 5 fingers, retractable claws sheathed beneath manicured nails. "I'm Orla Vex. Thank you for this opportunity." Daniel shook her hand, nodding the controlled strength in her grip. "The kids are in the back garden. Fair warning, they're not easy." Something flickered in those amber eyes. Amusement, challenge. I wouldn't expect them to be. The first week passed without incident. Orla moved through the house like smoke, always present but never intrusive. She prepared meals the girls actually ate, maintained order in rooms that had descended into chaos after their mother's death 3 years prior, and somehow convinced 8-year-old Maya to do her homework without the usual battle. Daniel found himself watching her more than he should, not just because she was beautiful, though she was in that uncanny way of the genetically enhanced, but because something about her felt off. Too perfect, too careful, like she was performing a role rather than living it. "Daddy, why does Miss Orla sleep in the closet?" This from Lily, his youngest at 6, during breakfast on day 9. Daniel's coffee cup paused halfway to his lips. "What?" "The linen closet upstairs," Maya added, matter of fact. She was the observant one, his middle daughter, too smart for her own good. "She goes in at night and doesn't come out until morning." Orla entered the kitchen at that moment, carrying a basket of folded laundry. If she'd heard the conversation, her face betrayed nothing. "The closet has excellent acoustics," she said calmly, setting the basket on the counter. "And I prefer enclosed spaces, a holdover from my previous career." Daniel met her gaze. They both knew what that meant. Soldiers who'd served in the deep void learned to sleep in cargo holds and maintenance ducts. Space was luxury, darkness was safety. "You don't have to sleep in a closet," he said quietly. "The guest room has windows." Her tail twitched, the first involuntary movement he'd seen from her. "I'm fine, Mr. Reeves, truly." The whispers started in week 3. Daniel woke at 300 hours. Old habits died hard and heard voices, not conversation, whispers, soft and insistent, coming from the hallway outside the girls' rooms. He found all 3 of them there, standing in their nightgowns, facing the linen closet. Their eyes were glazed, unfocused. Moving in unison, they reached for the door handle. "Girls!" Daniel's command voice snapped them out of it. They blinked, confused, as if waking from sleepwalking. "Daddy," Lily's voice was small, frightened. "Why are we in the hallway?" Before he could answer, the closet door opened from within. Orla emerged, fully dressed despite the hour. Her pupils were dilated so wide her eyes appeared black. "They heard me," she said simply. "I didn't mean for them to. I'm sorry." "Heard you what? What are you doing to my children?" Daniel positioned himself between Orla and the girls, every combat instinct screaming danger. Orla's ears flattened against her skull. "Nothing harmful, I swear it, but I owe you an explanation." She glanced at the girls, who were now fully awake and watching with unchildlike intensity. Perhaps all of you. They gathered in the living room. Daniel made hot chocolate, a normalcy ritual that felt absurd given the situation, while Orla sat cross-legged on the floor, her tail wrapped around her feet. The felony modifications weren't just physical, she began. They gave us abilities, enhanced senses, yes, but also something the military called harmonic resonance. We can emit frequencies that other species can barely perceive but that resonate with the human subconscious. You're saying you can control people. Daniel's voice was flat, dangerous. No, I can't make anyone do anything against their will, but I can suggest, soothe. The military used us for psychological operations, to calm riots, to ease soldiers suffering from combat trauma. Her claws extended slightly, a sign of stress. After the war, most of us were decommissioned. The abilities made civilians nervous. I've been hiding what I am for 3 years. Maya leaned forward, her brilliant mind already processing. But we heard you, in our dreams. You were sad. Orla's composure cracked. Yes, I am, because I've been alone for so long and this, she gestured at the house at them. This feels like family, and I know I'll have to leave when you discover what I am. You're sad because you like us. Lily climbed off the couch and approached Orla without fear. That's silly, we like you too. It's not that simple, Daniel said, but his anger was evaporating, replaced by understanding. He'd been where Orla was, caught between two worlds belonging to neither. You've been using your abilities on us, making us more compliant, easier to manage. No, Orla's voice was sharp, urgent. I've used them to help Maya sleep through nightmares about her mother, to calm Lily's anxiety before school, to ease the phantom pain in your left shoulder. She looked directly at Daniel. The one you got on Titan Station and never told anyone about because seeking treatment would mean admitting weakness. The room fell silent. Outside, the twin suns were rising, painting the walls gold and crimson. 10-year-old Sarah, who had been quiet throughout, spoke for the first time. You fixed my stutter. Orla nodded. The harmonic frequencies can help recalibrate neural pathways. It's not permanent, but with regular. You should stay, Sarah interrupted. We vote you should stay. Kids, Daniel started. Dad, she's helped us more than any of those counselors you hired, Maya said. And she's nice. And she makes good pancakes. The pancakes are a compelling argument, Daniel admitted, earning a giggle from Lily. He studied Orla, this woman who was something more and less than human, who had been weaponized and discarded by the same military he'd served, who had found a way to turn instruments of war into tools of healing. I have conditions, he said finally. No more closet sleeping. You use the guest room, no more hiding. And he paused. You teach me to recognize when you're using the resonance. I need to know. Orla's eyes widened, disbelief and hope warring on her features. You're not asking me to leave. I'm asking you to stay, but as yourself, all of yourself. No more pretending you're something you're not. She stood slowly, gracefully, her tail swaying with emotion instead of calculated control. I don't know if I remember how to do that. Then we'll figure it out together, Daniel said. Fair warning, we're all a mess here. The girls have issues, I have issues. You'll fit right in. For the first time since arriving, Orla smiled, truly smiled, showing the slightly elongated canines that she usually kept hidden. I've lived through a war. I think I can handle your particular brand of chaos. 3 months later, Daniel woke at 300 hours out of habit. But instead of silence, he heard laughter from downstairs. He found Orla teaching the girls to move silently, a game she called predator training that was really just lessons in awareness and balance. Dad, Maya called out when she spotted him. Miss Orla says we have natural resonance too. All humans do. We just don't know how to use it. Is that so? Daniel descended the stairs, accepting a cup of coffee that Orla had somehow already prepared. Everyone has frequencies, Orla explained, her tail curling around Lily's shoulders in casual affection. Mine are just louder, but connection isn't about volume, it's about harmony. Daniel looked at his daughters, laughing, confident, healing, and at the woman who had catalyzed that transformation, who had turned her own broken pieces into something that could mend others. Harmony, he repeated, I like that. Outside, the twin suns rose over new harmony, casting one shadow where there had been two. And in the chaos of a veteran's household, a family that had been fractured found itself, finally, whole.